Welcome to Facts TV News, where everything is true. 3 injured after delivery truck overturns on Spur Hill. 3 persons are in hospital nursing injuries after a delivery truck carrying rice overturned along the Spur main road in Manchester this morning. It is reported that the truck was traveling along the road when the driver encountered mechanical difficulties and lost control of the vehicle, which overturned. The incident happened about 8 a.m. The injured persons were rushed to the Mandeville Regional Hospital. Their conditions are unknown. The incident is said to have occurred in the vicinity of an accident-prone spot along the roadway. There was a heavy pileup of traffic this morning as firefighters sought to remove the truck from the road. The congestion has since been cleared. It is also reported that the truck was looted before the police arrived. Another couple shot dead by gunmen in western Jamaica. A man and a woman were shot dead by gunmen in Granville, St. James on Wednesday. The deceased have been identified as Sean Holness and Jordan Roberts, both 28-year-old residents of Pris0n in St. James. The attack comes a day after another couple was shot dead by gunmen in Westmoreland, which shares border with St. James in the western end of the island. The deceased in Tuesday's attack were identified as Anthony Godfrey and his common-law wife, Pris0n. Regarding Wednesday's attack, the Granville police reported that at about 11:45 p.m., both Holness and Roberts were pounced upon by gunmen who opened fire, hitting them before escaping in the area. Residents summoned the police, who transported them to the hospital where they were pronounced dead. Investigation into the shooting continues. Residents stage protests call for peace amid Trenchtown gang violence. Residents staged a protest in the Trenchtown community in Kingston on Thursday, calling for an end to the ongoing violence that has left citizens living in fear. Residents also called on members of the island security forces to increase their presence as the feud has reached the point where many families are fleeing from the community. Citizens claim that even though there was a checkpoint in the area, criminals were still finding ways to go in at each other. Right now, we are living in fear. The children are crying out constantly. People are moving out of the community, while those who are brave enough to stay behind are living in fear, said one woman from the community. The woman was part of a group of protesters who said they were tired and frustrated with what was happening in the area. The protest took place less than a month after 2 women were shot and killed in separate incidents. On June 15, a shop owner, Bent, was shot dead while at her place of business on 3rd Street when she was approached by a gunman who opened fire, hitting her multiple times in her upper body. She was rushed to the hospital where she was pronounced dead. 2 days before, a 16-year-old girl, Damoya Hall, was shot and killed and another man injured in the same community. That attack came in the form of a drive-by. Member of Parliament Mark Golding said the attacks were carried out by gang members locked in an ongoing feud. Teen allegedly shot and killed by soldier in Spanish Town. Residents of Valdez Road in Spanish Town, St. Catherine, are now protesting the shooting death of a member of the community allegedly by soldiers. They are claiming that the 18-year-old was shot in cold blood and disputed claim that he was armed with a gun. The police are reporting that he had engaged the soldiers in a shootout and was shot during the exchange. He was taken to the Spanish Town Hospital where he was pronounced dead. Subsequently, residents blocked a section of Valdez Road, but it was cleared by the security force, who are maintaining a strong presence in the area. Crew members from missing rainforest vessel found alive. Crew members from the missing Rainforest Seafoods Falling Star lobster fishing vessel have been found alive after more than a week lost at sea. Reporters understand that the crew members were found on Thursday. It is unclear how many of the 15 Honduran crew members who were on board the vessel when it disappeared have been found. The lobster fishing vessel was reportedly returning from dry docking routine maintenance overseas when it ceased sending tracking signal on the afternoon of July 6. The last location of the vessel up to the point of its disappearance was 30 miles west of the Pedro Banks. The Jamaica Coastal Guard collaborated with counterparts from the United States, Honduras, Nicaragua, Colombia, Cuba, and the Cayman Islands in the search for the vessel. Mandeville Mayor withdraws resignation. Councillor for the Royal Flat Division Donovan Mitchell has withdrawn his resignation as Mayor of Mandeville and Chairman of the Manchester Municipal Corporation. Mitchell, in a letter addressed to Chief Executive Officer of the Manchester Municipal Corporation, Winston Palmer, said he looks forward to continuing his work with the municipality as chairman. Earlier today, Mitchell had said in his resignation letter that he believed his colleagues has lost confidence in him as a mayor. Mitchell, who represents the opposition People's National Party, has also said he will remain as councillor for the Royal Flat Division until the next local general election. Elderly man gets 25 years for murder of teen sister-in-law. Winston Jarrett, the 61-year-old man who last month pleaded guilty to the murder of his 18-year-old sister-in-law, Jelana White, has been sentenced to 25 years imprisonment without the possibility of parole. Jarrett received the sentence from Chief Justice Brian Skikes, who presided over his case when the matter was heard in the St. James Circuit Court today. During the sentencing hearing, Jarrett's attorney Shellyan Hyman pleaded for the court to show leniency to her client, pointing to his past of childhood abandonment and abuse and the fact that he has pleaded guilty in the murder case at the earliest possible time. But Skikes cited Jarrett's criminal history, which dates back to 1978 and includes several convictions for housebreaking and sexual offenses, as a reason to give him a harsh penalty without the possibility for early release. The sentence is to take effect immediately following Jarrett's 28-year sentence for the 2012 murder of 65-year-old Daniel Whitshaw, who he stabbed to death during a dispute over payment for a painting job. Jarrett was sentenced for the murder before the Home Circuit Court on July 5th. In the case of White's murder, the facts are that on January 25, 2020, the deceased woman's body was found with her throat slashed after she had previously been reported missing. It is understood that prior to her murder, White and Jarrett had been in a relationship, although he was already married to his sister. Following investigations, Jarrett surrendered to the police on February 18, 2020 and was charged with White's murder. He pleaded guilty to the murder when he appeared in the Trelawney Circuit Court on June 30, 2021, but his July 1 sentencing hearing was delayed due to Skikes' computer malfunctioning. Man sentenced to life for murder of ex-girlfriend in St. Elizabeth. Jermaine Miller, who was accused of the stabbing death of his ex-girlfriend, 27-year-old Nevia Sinclair, at her family home in Brinkley, St. Elizabeth last year, was today sentenced to life in prison for her murder. His attorney, Queen's Counsel Peter Champney, reported a short while ago that Miller was also sentenced to 13 years for burglary. Miller will have to serve 20 years before he is eligible for parole. The sentences are to run concurrently. The sentences were handed down by High Court Judge Justice Courtney Day in the St. Elizabeth Circuit Court in Black River. Sinclair had moved out of her boyfriend's home and returned to live with her parents because of an alleged abusive relationship. She was stabbed to death in her bedroom about 10:50 p.m. on January 12, 2020. Her family slept. The intruder has pushed aside mosquito netting and climbed through an unlocked window to enter her bedroom. Miller was allegedly seen fleeing the scene immediately after Sinclair's parents saw her bleeding on the floor. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, and click the notification bell for daily updates.